Welcome back to Feel Good Alcohol Free. I'm Lindsay, your coach, your guide, and part of the team that's going to help you finally feel good AF and just quit drinking for good. We have to invest in a team to help us reach our goals. If you've been telling yourself, I'm just not ready to quit drinking, this episode is for you. I want you to imagine something for a second. What if the very belief that you're not ready is actually the thing keeping you stuck? What if you've been waiting for a version of readiness that doesn't even exist? Readiness isn't a feeling that you wake up with one morning. I talk a lot about how motivation isn't just going to be waiting for you on Mondays when you open your front door. And this is kind of like that. It's something that you create by taking one bold move forward, even when your mind is trying to negotiate with your comfort zone, which is all that drinking really is, because we've made it so familiar for our brain. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening when your brain keeps convincing you to wait until after that trip or once things calm down. We're going to talk about why this happens, how those thoughts literally wire themselves into your brain, and most importantly, obviously, how to break free from that loop and build the kind of momentum that changes everything for you, because that's what this is. We lose momentum and we start to second guess, and all of those negative thought patterns just show up again, and we don't want to have those sticking around. So let's dig into it together. Let's get you feeling good AF and moving forward instead of spinning in circles. The I'm not ready mindset isn't actually about readiness. It's really fear kind of disguised as logic. I am hoping that that makes sense. So I want to kind of explain what I mean here. I often hear from women, and I said this, I don't know, 10,000 times in my own journey, my own quest to get to the other side of alcohol. It was like, I know I want to quit drinking. I just don't think I'm ready yet. And really, what this leans into is I'm afraid of what it's going to mean about me, my identity, or my relationships. And there's so much ambiguity around what life is going to be like when we're not drinking that it really can stop us dead in our tracks. Like, it can just take any forward motion and make us want to pull the blanket over our heads and live back in our comfort zone. Because good or bad, at least we know the outcome when we drink, and there's safety in that. When we make these little excuses and we tell ourselves these stories about why we're not ready, we're actually reinforcing the belief that we're not ready. We're cementing it in. We are confirming that we're not ready. And so what we have to do is we have to build that readiness. We have to do the thing that we think we're not ready for. And sometimes that starts with a little bit of a bold move. We have to take a big action and rip the Band-Aid off. And then we can kind of calm down and take smaller actions, get to a point where we're like, okay, this is feeling good. This isn't so bad. Sometimes it's going to feel really hard. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this journey for you. If it was easy, everybody would be quitting drinking because it is so amazing once you get to the other side. But it's hard. And this is why you have to build your team to help you get there. So you can look at listening to this podcast as part of your team. This is a resource that you invest your time into every single week to help you move forward. I'm part of your team. And I'm honored. So thank you. Maybe there's other podcasts that you listen to. These are all part of your arsenal, part of your team. There's books that you read. But remember, reading these books and listening to these podcasts are not going to necessarily make you feel ready, but they will give you tools. At least this one will. I'm always going to give you something to do. I'm going to give you action, but you cannot just listen to me. Close this app when you're done listening to the podcast and you have to implement what I teach you. Otherwise, you're going to be spinning saying, I'm not ready. So you build readiness by moving, by taking action, by doing the thing you think you're not ready for. So let's look at what's actually happening in your brain when you keep telling yourself that you're not ready. And this part is, I like to always include a little bit of science to back up what I'm saying here. This is around how our beliefs get reinforced, or they're reinforcing themselves when we're repeating these thoughts. So when you repeat a thought, for example, I'm not ready yet, your brain starts treating it as fact. Neuroscience calls this neural reinforcement. Every repeated thought strengthens the pathways that support it, kind of like carving a deeper groove in a record. The more you play the track, the more automatic it becomes. It's like, the road less traveled versus the road that everyone's been on. When you look at your calendar and you say, well, I've got that fundraiser next week, and then I've got that girls' trip in 2 weeks, your brain recognizes those as cues that confirm the belief, see, you're right, you're not ready yet. It's not a good time right now. You have these things that you have to drink at. If you're watching me on YouTube, you saw my little air quotes. If you're listening, I just did air quotes under have to drink at. That's called confirmation bias. The brain's way of protecting what it already believes filters in information that supports your story and filters out what challenges it, because hello, the brain loves familiarity. I talk about this all the time. If you're really listening to a lot of sobriety content right now, you are definitely learning about how so much of this journey is rewiring your brain. I imagine that you are living in a pattern, just like I was, where it feels very autopilot. And when we're trying to train our brain to think differently, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. And so that's what this is. We're rewiring our belief system, really. The problem is, the more often you reinforce the idea that you're not ready, the stronger that neural groove becomes, and the more it feels true. But I promise you, there is good news. You can rewire the pattern by pairing new thoughts with new actions. That's what I mean when I say one bold move forward. Start with one bold move, something that just feels just uncomfortable enough so that you're really proud of yourself. And this might be more than, spending a Friday night alcohol free. This might be taking an action that actually moves you forward in a way where you feel accomplished, proud and accomplished. And because those things go hand in hand, but we can be really proud of ourselves for doing a few things, but if we don't really feel progress in the journey, we're not going to feel as accomplished. I'm going to share an example of what I mean by that. But what I really want you to know is that neuroplasticity means that you can change that groove. You can rewire the pattern by pairing new thoughts with new actions. So this is what I really want you to hear. New thoughts, new actions mean that you will disrupt that belief that you're not ready. And that's what we have to do here. So let's talk about how this plays out in real life, okay? And what you can do differently. This is the part that is going to feel awkward and uncomfortable. This is looking at the calendar and saying, you know what, Friday night, I'm not going to drink no matter what. And that might feel uncomfortable. It might feel scary. It might feel impossible. But remember, you are a smart, highly successful, capable woman. You are capable of doing this. You've just been reinforcing the idea, the belief that you're not ready. So this is about how we end up using future events as permission slips to delay change, to put off what we want to change about ourselves. So I want you to picture this. You decide, I'm done. I am going to take a break from drinking. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm starting Monday or I'm starting on the 1st. Whatever that looks like. I want you to picture yourself. I'm sure you've said those words before. I'm starting on Monday, haven't we all? And then you immediately look at your calendar and you see, crap, fundraiser next week. Shoot, we have that anniversary dinner on Saturday. Well, here we are. It's November. It's the holidays. We have this holiday party already, and then we're leaving for Thanksgiving. And then your brain just immediately says, see, it's not a good time to do this. You're not ready. And we think that we're being practical. You're smart. You're logical. But really, we're keeping ourselves in this loop of false readiness. And every time we look at our calendar and we see something like everything I just listed, we reinforce the belief. Here's the thing, there's always going to be another event. Because, let's face it, right after the holidays, you may decide to do dry January and you may build up a little momentum there, but then it's going to be Valentine's Day and you're going to have a fancy dinner out and your brain is going to start going to the reward loop and the celebration signal and that it's a holiday and I'm out for a nice dinner, we're celebrating, and all of a sudden, you're right back to drinking again. There's never going to be a good time. There's always going to be another event. The external world doesn't suddenly become easy. Your calendar doesn't suddenly get clear. You have to shift from waiting for conditions to creating the conditions. So many of the women that I work with, most of them, they come to me and within days of us starting our work together, they might have a business trip that they have to get on an airplane for, a conference where there's lots of networking and open bar. They might have just date night. They might have a vacation planned right around the corner, but they've made this bold move to sign up with me. I don't care if your event is 2 days from the first time we meet. You will be a different person and have a whole different lens of how you're going to approach every single day from our first session. And so you cannot look at everything on your calendar as an obstacle. They have to become opportunities of where you are willing to put yourself into growth. There's never going to be this perfect stretch of time because there's just always something. You have to shift from waiting for conditions to creating the conditions. I help remove so much of the overwhelm. Let's just break these things down into what is in the immediate. Let's not worry about whatever is 1 week away or 2 weeks away, because you are going to start making shifts as soon as you start working with me that will make you a different, stronger person within days. And you will look at the event that is a month from now so much differently almost right away. And I will have you feeling relief. You're not going to be worrying about it in that moment because we're going to focus on all of the really important things that are going on in your world right now. This is where my genius lies. And women who work with me feel relief. And I have been told time and time again that I have made something so overwhelming feel so simple, and they're ready to just implement. So I want you to know that it is possible if you take all of the things going on in your life, and when you look at them at a macro level, yes, it can feel like a lot. It can feel impossible to go through them all without drinking. But when you break them down into smaller parts and shorter time spans, that's how you're going to be successful here. So how do we start breaking this pattern? Zoom in a little bit. Stop zooming out so much. Don't think about what's going on down the road, because like I said, there is always something on the calendar that is going to reinforce the belief that you're not ready. So we got to start steamrolling these events. That's the thing. One bold action can disrupt an entire belief loop. So bold doesn't mean reckless. What I really mean by saying make a bold AF move, it means doing something that's decisive. It means you make a decision, which also equals a promise to yourself, and you do it. Because broken promises are what shatter our self confidence. They're what make us not feel proud of ourselves. And so for the women that I coach, that bold move looked like booking a discovery call with me, maybe sending me a message or signing up before their brain could talk them out of it, because you don't need to be ready. Okay. This is what I really want you to know. I was constantly saying, I'm not ready. And I would go months where I didn't focus on the work. And I would just say, I'm not ready. This isn't a good time. I'm never going to be a non drinker. It's just not for me. And the more I told myself that story, the deeper into my drinking I would get again. And then I would have to pull myself out again, and it always felt like I was starting over, even though I wasn't. And I know that now, but in the moment, I always felt like I was starting over, because sometimes I would take a break and I would be really making progress. And then I would go months where I just kind of stopped. I was like, forget it. I'm back in my comfort zone. My old patterns are all back. We just have to do this work, this momentum building to get out of those ditches that we get ourselves into. And that can be really hard. And so this bold move that I'm talking about is like, make a decision, send me a message, sign up for the coaching program before the brain can talk you out of it, just like my clients do. You don't need to be ready. You need to be willing. You need to be open to a new lens, saying, this is my goal. My goal is to quit drinking. And I need to gather my resources for this. I need to build my team. That's what's going to help you build momentum. That one decision sends a new message to your brain. And that message is, we're doing things differently now. This is how we're doing it. So once you've made that bold move, your nervous system calms down a little bit because it feels good. You feel accomplished. Remember when I mentioned that earlier? And you feel proud of yourself. Pride and sense of accomplishment are two of my favorite feelings ever. I think that they're in the top, they've got to be in the top 5 of everybody's. Who doesn't love to feel proud of themselves and accomplished? You stop spinning in your head and you start focusing on real change. And the gift here is that you can do that in a way that is at your speed without reinforcing the belief that you're not ready, and still make progress and still feel accomplished. Build your team. So here's why that bold move works on a scientific level. When you take new action, even a small one that could feel really bold in the moment, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine, also known as that chemical that you're trying to chase when you drink. This is the chemical that signals progress and motivation. And that little hit of dopamine tells your brain, hey, this new path feels good. At the same time, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision making and future planning, starts strengthening. This is what makes change easier over time. You're actually becoming more comfortable with the change and maybe even excited about it. I had so many times in my journey where all of a sudden things that were really ambiguous felt exciting. Like I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen. I couldn't wait to go to the social event and not drink and maybe even tell people that I wasn't drinking. There was like this excitement over it because I was starting to feel a sense of pride in my decision and what I was doing. And I was feeling accomplished because I was racking up days and weeks and months of AF stretches. I was doing things that I had never done before, sober, things that I had done many times drinking. This is what happens. You start to build your confidence and everything within you starts to strengthen. And so the change is going to become easier over time. You are literally rewiring the brain away from fear-based loops toward action-based confidence. That's why consistency, not intensity, is what creates a level of calmness. All of these small actions tells your brain, this is how we do relief. This is how we relax. This is how we move forward. And once that momentum starts, it's really incredible what begins to happen. But you have to just make the decision and make a bold move to build that momentum, to get it going. Once this little spark is lit, then you can build it into sustainable growth. This is what I do inside Feel Good AF with the women who step in is, you make this big, bold move by signing up to work with me. And then we start a little small. We calm things down a little bit so that you feel relief and relaxed. And we introduce, based on what your current life is like, some micro shifts that are going to move you forward without burning you out. And they're going to feel really doable. One of my strengths is really taking situations and circumstances that feel really overwhelming in the moment and breaking them up in a way that bring in you and your mindset and your confidence that you really are capable of doing them, and that it makes sense that they seem overwhelming in the moment. And here's how we're going to make that less overwhelming. And we break it up into smaller parts, and you are reminded of how capable you are. Then we look at what are some micro changes that we can make that feel doable, that feel good, and you're going to want to do every day. And this is how you rewire your brain, because that's the repetition. And repetition builds confidence because your brain is collecting evidence of, oh, this is how we do things now. Oh, all right. This isn't so bad. I'm starting to feel good. And you start to get these little wins under your belt. And every day you wake up and you're a day closer and another day closer. Things like holding boundaries are going to be really recognizable to you. They're going to be at the forefront of your mind, because when you hold a boundary, you're making sure your needs are met. And when our needs are met, we're not reaching for a drink. When we take care of ourselves, we're able to relax, and we'll start seeing these ways that I take care of myself are actually working, versus when I drink, where that's a very temporary fix. Then you'll get through an event sober. You're going to do something that's maybe a little uncomfortable. Maybe it's a little bit bolder after doing some of these small things. You're stacking wins. Some feel small, some feel really significant. But those wins become your evidence that you can do this. And that is going to rewire, that is going to change that belief of I'm not ready faster than anything else that you can do. You're going to start to feel this energy shift from I can't or I'm not to I am. I am doing this. I am going to. So it's much different, and it makes you feel accomplished and proud. That's where being surrounded by the right people changes everything in your journey, because you get this new lens from other people who are walking the walk or have walked the walk to lift you up and to bring you forward and not spinning. There are often times where I log into my online community and there might be a woman who is having a really rough day. She puts that right in there, and she is just poured over with love and support and a new lens, a new thing to do, a new distraction, a new beautiful way forward by all of the other women and or myself in that community. And she instantly feels safe again and like she can do this, versus sitting in her living room alone, spinning. So trying to do this alone is what keeps most women stuck, because then we only have our own thoughts to rely on. We need the outside perspective to keep our mind not stuck. We can't keep reinforcing our beliefs, whether it's the belief that you're not ready or the stack of other beliefs that are keeping you from moving forward. Those are the things that need to be changed. The women who join me are high achieving, independent, highly capable, but they're exhausted from doing this alone because it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And getting support, that's not a weakness. That's not a failure because you can't do something on your own. It's building a team. It's strategy. When you have a big work initiative or a new priority at work that you're focused on, what's the first thing you do? You say, what are the resources I need to get this thing done in 90 days? What team do I need? What qualifications do they have to have? What software do I have to purchase? What do I need to reach this, get this priority to the finish line? It's a strategy. You build a strategy. It's no different. So when you invest in yourself and you build your team, that's how you stay focused. It's how you stay accountable. And it's how you stay emotionally supported. Because let me tell you, the thing that is going to keep you in the I'm not ready mindset is when you remove alcohol, the emotions are going to flow. And that is where you are going to feel alone AF. I'm being kind of hard on you right now, and I hope that you know that this is from a place of so much love and only my experience, because when I quit drinking, I never, ever in my life felt as alone as I did in those first 6 months. And let me tell you, that was even with the most supportive husband on the planet. He was there for me. He reached out to me. He constantly asked what I needed, even when I didn't want to talk about it. I had so much love and support from him, but I was so alone because I knew he didn't get it. And that made it so hard. The emotional turmoil that starts to come up when you quit drinking is what you need to learn to deal with. So this team that I have waiting for you is in your corner. I'm the coach. They're the team. They help you get there. If you've been waiting for a sign that you're ready, take this as that sign, because there is not a day on your calendar that is going to scream, hey, now's a great time to quit drinking. There's always going to be an excuse on that calendar that you use to reinforce your belief that you're not ready. I promise you that. So I hope that you listen to this episode and you look at your calendar. And even though we are in November and your calendar might be starting to fill up with cookie swaps and Thanksgiving meals and dinner tables full of red wine and, I don't know, old fashions, hard cider, mulled wine, all of those things, you don't have to drink. They are just another excuse that you're using to kick the can on this. So I want you, prove yourself wrong. Say, I've been sitting here saying I'm not ready. Really evaluate that. Why are you telling yourself that? Okay, I love you. I believe in you. I know that you are capable of getting to the other side of alcohol. I know what it takes. And I know that you have what it takes. So go ahead and make one bold AF move. You can send me a message. You can send me an email. You can go right now and book your own discovery call. We're going to talk through exactly where you're at and what our work together would look like. Your homework assignment is to make one bold move. And if that's not connecting with me, then I hope that it is something that makes you feel accomplished and proud of yourself, because that's what this journey is about. All right, my beautiful friends, that's it for me this week. The holidays are upon us, and I will have some fun, festive holiday episodes that won't be such a downer like this one. I feel like I was a little bit hard on you this week, but don't you worry. It's all from a place of love and empathy because I know exactly where you're at. And so sometimes I'm just going to tell you how it is. And I guess that's what today's episode was a little bit filled with. I will see you next week. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you leave a comment. Okay. Happy November, friends.